Afternoon hours. There's not a ton out there. It's not until the afternoon that we get into a more pronounced round of storms that come in with scattered showers, possible severe weather all the way past midnight tonight. This is 2 a.m. and you can see thunderstorms still tracking through. It's the kind of day you really need to be on guard, watching the sky, listening for warnings if you're outside here and paying attention to the weather. We've been talking about some of those storms that have been bubbling up right now in Philadelphia and northeastern Pennsylvania. Now let's take a look at how things evolve through the day. It truly is later afternoon that we really get the most pronounced activity here with that risk of severe winds, hail. There is an isolated tornado risk, especially a little further south, but even here. And then we take you down south where D.C., we're running about 8 inches behind in rainfall. So you have been asking for rain. This is not the kind of rain, though, I know you want, because watch what happens later this afternoon into the evening. This is 7 o'clock. Big storms come in. Baltimore watching there, watching back towards Frederick, Maryland as well, and Leesburg, Virginia, all have a chance of getting into the storms. It would mainly be the evening time frame, maybe late afternoon to begin, and watching for lightning and all the other hazards that come with it. Let's jump south, where we've had a few showers into North Carolina. We're going to be watching here, too, in this zone, as Greg talked about the timing of everything coming together later afternoon into the evening. That's when we're still in the warm sector, but now we've got those stronger jet stream winds punching through, and this is after midnight. Some nasty storms here flying through New Bern and all the way through the Outer Banks while you're sleeping, so hopefully you're able to stay safe. You don't need to seek shelter, but be ready to. Alex.
Well, I'll tell you, there
is not allowed. Now, let me show you what we're looking at right now here. This is the live look at Panama City Beach. When you're looking for rip currents, it's best to be up a little bit higher so you can see. And I don't see any right here. And one thing I want to point out is that we just have this really continuous line of waves right here. And yes, you know, they roll in as waves do, not all at once. But there's no area broken up where you see a break in the waves. And that would be the rip current, where the rip current is, pulling the water back out to sea at a faster clip. So let's look at rip currents and the risk that we have today. I want to show you that forecast where we do have a high risk actually in the zone over here near Panama City, watching towards the 38 beaches as well. A high risk in spots around South Carolina, North Carolina there as well, and moderate elsewhere. And you can get rip currents on days that are just moderate. So don't think a yellow flag means that there's no rip current risk. There's still almost always is one. Now, dangerous once it gets to red flags, and that's considered when you should consider that knee deep is too deep. We're going to be looking for that risk today again in those isolated areas, but still looking at a risk for rip currents. Over 30,000 rescues per year in the U.S. And oftentimes it's only the 2 to 3 foot waves. It's not that you have this big breaking surf. It can not look as intense when you look out there, but they can be there. What happens with rip currents is affected a lot by the coastline, by the sea floor, the bathymetry of how it's laid out. A shallow sea floor makes a big difference. The shape of the coastline. And you see how it's kind of concave right there in this one example. That would be an area that you would look at for the potential of rip currents here, because it can just allow that water to go in towards shore and then have to quickly return back out to kind of build up. This is a threat we'll talk more about today. Alex.
Absolutely. Morning headquarters here on this Monday. Hopefully you had a good weekend. Jen, we had some big storms rumble through the ATL. Did you get
I didn't get caught in them, Alex. Did you?
Caught in them. I don't know if that's the right term. I happened to end up in them. If that makes sense.
Yeah, we had some tough storms out there. And actually, unfortunately, some of these storms turn severe. We want to time out some of these thunderstorms that we'll be dealing with and already are getting this morning, like here into parts of Nebraska.
Yeah, that's right. This storm we've been watching here, this now just pushed to the south and the east of the Chadron area, had a warning for ping pong ball size hail. That warning still in place there, south and east of the Chadron area. But look at this whole zone that could light up again. So we've got some ongoing storms this morning, but we've got the threat for more to sneak in as we work our way through our day. Be ready for more hail-producing storms.
Yeah, the big hail, the kind that really could do some significant damage. We're talking maybe golf ball size or larger. That area that we've been tracking right now is just one area to watch. New thunderstorms developing later on will be the bigger issue for that bigger hail.
And then they go as we head through the afternoon, spreading across parts of Wyoming, Montana as well. And then look at this. This is after midnight now. Some big storms that could start blowing up there right around the Black Hills of South Dakota, and then those track off to the east.
Yeah, that's a model forecast. I don't know if you saw my face when I saw those storms flare up around Rapid Rapid City, those had the look that they'll probably have some hail with them. We also could see heavy rainfall. Now, could bring some flash flooding. Watching this risk zone area, 90, 94, also at 90 into Wyoming as well.
Tomorrow, some of the same spots will involve with dealing with some of these storms. Down into Nebraska, you'll deal with that. And then by Wednesday, we may shift and include some of these areas in the upper Midwest.
It's a pretty busy week. Active pattern that we'll be tracking for you. Thunderstorms on the move Tuesday through the afternoon. Watching the Dakotas into Minnesota overnight into and then into your Wednesday, some storms continuing there.
There we go. Thursday rolling on. Thursday, we'll see more storms coming right back into the plains. Ending on Friday, more of the same.
Yeah, a busy week. Make sure you have a way to
know how expensive it can be. So it's no doubt worth the time and effort to find out what your flood risk is.
The only problem is the risk model that we've all been relying on the last 20 plus years hasn't exactly kept up with the actual amounts of rainfall in that time. The trend is much worse than predicted. Now, with new technology, the First Street Foundation aims to give us a more accurate assessment. NOAA told the Weather Channel they do not comment on other organizations' research or products.
The First Street Foundation will make their data available to individual property owners on July 31st. Just visit the website riskfactor.com for an up-to-date flood risk assessment.
A lot of levels here of things that are, be affected by this here, namely, of course, your property.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt. Well, let's take a look at where we've got that threat for some flooding as we work our way through the coming days. And a lot of the east going to be seeing that here, not just today, but working into our Tuesday and Wednesday, spreading its way up into portions of New England. Possibility for flash flooding to take place in those areas.
It's been such an odd June here, right? First, we couldn't really warm up. Now that we're warming up a little bit, but we're getting into many more showers and thunderstorms, bringing that heavy rain potential. And not to mention, most of us are running, at least a little behind in rainfall, if not 5 or 6 inches behind.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll get a chance to make up some ground when it comes to that rain, but you just don't want too much too quickly, and that can become a problem. Got quite a bit of moisture. You see that here. This is over the last 3 hours or so. We've actually seen a few storms that have fired up. More to come, though, as we head on through the day.
Yeah, so we've got this pattern. We're stuck in a trough again, and we'll be watching for the front that's associated with a surface low coming in today. That's going to mean the risk for thunderstorms, some possibly severe. But, just being underneath this upper level low is going to mean repeated chances of rain.
Exactly. So we'll be dealing with this here heading into the latter part of the week. Now, the one thing that we'll find with it hanging around, some showers, clouds around as well. The temperatures are going to be held down just a bit in these spots.
Yeah, it's not going to be that hot. Temperatures running below average, but it is going to be kind of humid out there because, of course, we've got that moisture in place. This is just so slow to move out, like every single upper level low we've dealt with. They
almost never go out on time. You think, okay, this thing's going to get out here by Thursday. No, it'll be here next Thursday. I mean, that's maybe not that long, but you get the point.
Yeah.
They hang around a little bit longer. And so you can see your forecast in the spot like Bangor, keeping it a bit below average and also showery through the remainder of the week.
Yeah, tough for vacation if you're thinking of hiking or maybe taking a canoe out. Definitely tough. Well, we're asking you in our question of the day, they all claim it, but I do think they have the best story.
Yes.
So, chance of storms, be careful driving out there. Could be some blinding rain, maybe some ponding of water today, tomorrow, but then it looks really nice and warms up for the end of the week.
All right. I like it. Controversy on who had
there always is. Yeah.
We're going to stick with the road trip
Yes.
and that debuted over the weekend on the TWC streaming app. So check that out. If you're driving on through, it is going to be hot times. Woo.
Oh, man, look at that.
106 by Wednesday. I don't know if I'm stopping to do anything at that point.
I know you want to stay in the air conditioning, but that's a very interesting story, Alex.
It is.
And I don't think you would think to stop necessarily unless you knew it was there to stop.
You'd have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are those spots?
Yeah.
Route 66.
Our question of the day is threats out there. It's a triple threat kind of day as severe storms pushed into the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic, and we are on alert for damaging winds, large hail, and even flash flooding. Storm specialist Dr. Greg Postel is taking a close look at the ingredients coming together to help fuel today's severe threat. Greg, here, what do you think's most at risk?
Wow.
And throughout the day, too. So I'm going to time it out, Greg. Thank you. And show folks when we're going to see storms. When you're modeling thunderstorms in the summertime, it's difficult to pinpoint exactly when a storm is going to hit your town or even if it is. But to give you a sense and the flair of the timing here, that's what we can show you. And obviously, we've got showers right now moving through northern Jersey and heading through the whole tri-state area. So that goes through. And then we get a few scattered showers until about 4 or 5 o'clock, and then we get some of the bigger ones. You'll see the skies darkening up, storms roll in. They will have all the hazards with them, mainly damaging winds and hail is the main threat here. But there's, looking always an isolated tornado risk when you look at the pattern that we're in, this kind of pattern. This is 1 a.m. Look at these storms coming up through Long Branch. Not to say at 1 a.m. it's going to hit you there and 3 a.m. there on Long Island, but no, overnight you've got some timing of thunderstorms coming on through, and you might need to be woken up to get to shelter. So make sure that you have a way to get those warnings. There's a few showers across eastern Pennsylvania right now. We've been watching those two into northern and northeastern Pennsylvania, but more like that later on today, and they may be a bit more fierce coming through New Jersey, watching around Trenton and Cherry Hill. We've got Philadelphia with storms coming in tonight. Some of these could be loud, keeping you up, keeping the kids up too. Thunder and lightning here are going to be a case, I think, with most of these storms that we see through the afternoon. Then down to D.C., where this morning's been pretty quiet so far. We need rain. We keep asking for rain, right? We're running about 8 inches behind when it comes to rainfall here, Baltimore you included. But storms come in, they may bring severe weather about 6, 7 o'clock or so, and continuing here even after midnight. We could still see some thunderstorms across the area. And then jumping down into North Carolina, where thunderstorms are possible here. There's been a few showers this morning. There may be a few more, but overall, these are not the ones that we are worried about. That comes in later this afternoon, late afternoon, actually, maybe more into the evening and overnight is your timing. This is now 9 o'clock. Thunderstorms come in Myrtle Beach, we see you, Greenville and Raleigh and the whole Triangle area, we see you. This all tracks east heading overnight, and we're dealing with thunderstorms here, the kind that will keep you up. Hopefully that you don't get any warnings, but if you get them, make sure you're ready to seek shelter, especially any tornado. Alex.
Absolutely. Well, there is no...
Over the last 10 days, the Panama City Beach Police Department responded to 70 swimmers in distress. 39 of those calls were on Saturday alone. So we want to make sure you stay safe out there. First of all, heeding the warnings and the flags. Here's a look right now at Panama City. And overall, you look at this view, it looks like it's a pretty gentle surf rolling in, right? I don't see any obvious places where there's a rip current. It's hard to see. Oftentimes, you really have to be up high looking down. But we'll show you some ways that maybe you can spot them. So let's talk about the rip current risk today. There's an area that is a red zone here that includes Panama City Beach over towards the 38 beaches. Just to the west of there, it's yellow. And even on yellow days, you still have a risk, even if it's not as high. There's a high risk in a few spots here in North Carolina. Yellow, though, all the way down to south of Vero Beach, down towards West Palm and the beaches there. So first of all, pay attention to the flags. When it's a red flag, that generally means knee deep is too deep. You don't want to go in much more than that because of the dangers in the water. Double red flag, which was the case over the weekend in many spots here along the Gulf Coast. Double red means swimming is not allowed. Swimming, you'll get a fine for swimming, and it's purely for your safety. There's over 30,000 rescues per year in the U.S., and often it's just those 2 to 3 foot waves where it's hazardous. It doesn't have to be the big 6-foot crashing waves to be dangerous out there. The depth of the water near the coast plays a role in creating the rip currents here. Shallow water and allowing that water to build up can be a factor. The shape of the coastline, especially when it's concave like that, the water just kind of rushes in and then rushes back out really quickly. And especially when you have an onshore wind here, that is a big factor, pushing that water towards the coastline. And then when it hits the shore, it's forced to return very rapidly. And certainly the time of tide matters. Interestingly, low tide is often a bigger risk time for rip currents than at high tide. Rip currents account for 75% of surf zone fatalities, so we want you to take it very seriously and stay safe. Alex.
All right, good. Poll is up.
The poll is up.
We love to hear your comments, any stories that you may have experienced with some of those things. And it's one of those weird, not weird, but interesting.
But we have new data that we're sharing on the show today, and stay tuned. That's coming up in about a half an hour, and we'll talk about how flooding has changed and the risk of flooding has changed across the nation.
Roll on through this early part of the week here on this Monday, and this opportunity for more heat, but then also the storms. That has been a real calling card over the last several weeks, and that seems to be another threat we face today.
We didn't have much rain at all at the beginning of the month in the Midwest, Ohio Valley, and then we got some violent storms yesterday. Unfortunately, so let's time out those thunderstorms. We'll start with some of the storms that we have ongoing right now into parts of the plains, and more severe weather is possible here. Yeah,
absolutely. We had storms working their way across Nebraska. We're going to keep an eye on that. We've seen them kind of lose a little bit of the intensity here as of late, but, and you talked about it, watch for these areas areas to light up as we work our way through the day, afternoon, into the evening. Storms are expected to really pulse up.
Yes, I forgot my clicker.
Oh, okay. Well, let's talk more about where these storms are.
Yes.
Hail, that's going to be a threat that we do face here for our day. And some of the hailstones, and we've seen this as of late, large ones, 2-inch plus in diameter.
Yes, so we'll be watching for that. And not so much with these right now because they have been losing the amount of lightning that they have, telling us that they're weakening a little bit. But new storms do develop as we get through the afternoon and evening, and we'll see that into Wyoming and Montana. Thunderstorms out there with all the hazards. And lightning might be one of the biggest risks, though, really, when you think about people outside doing some hiking. You want to come down off your hike early in the day.
Absolutely, indeed. Now, we'll see more of these storms lasting even beyond the midnight hour. I mean, some of these storms may fire up even more past midnight here around Rapid City, and you can see how those translate and push off towards the east heading into Tuesday morning.
Yes, all right. So just one area of the country that we're watching. Maybe some heavy rainfall here, just like we were talking about in the Mid-Atlantic as well. And we'll have more on all of these forecasts here coming up through the show.
Know how expensive it can be. So it's no doubt worth the time and effort to find out what your flood risk is.
The only problem is the risk model that we've all been relying on the last 20 plus years hasn't exactly kept up with the actual amounts of rainfall in that time. The trend is much worse than predicted. Now, with new technology, the First Street Foundation aims to give us a more accurate assessment. NOAA told the Weather Channel they do not comment on other organizations' research or products.
The First Street Foundation will make their data available to individual property owners on July 31st. Just visit the website riskfactor.com for an up-to-date flood risk assessment.
A lot of levels here of things that are, be affected by this here, namely, of course, your property.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt. Well, let's take a look at where we've got that threat for some flooding as we work our way through the coming days. And a lot of the east going to be seeing that here, not just today, but working into our Tuesday and Wednesday, spreading its way up into portions of New England. Possibility for flash flooding to take place in those areas.
It's been such an odd June here, right? First, we couldn't really warm up. Now that we're warming up a little bit, but we're getting into many more showers and thunderstorms, bringing that heavy rain potential. And not to mention, most of us are running, at least a little behind in rainfall, if not 5 or 6 inches behind.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll get a chance to make up some ground when it comes to that rain, but you just don't want too much too quickly, and that can become a problem. Got quite a bit of moisture. You see that here. This is over the last 3 hours or so. We've actually seen a few storms that have fired up. More to come, though, as we head on through the day.
Yeah, so we've got this pattern. We're stuck in a trough again, and we'll be watching for the front that's associated with a surface low coming in today. That's going to mean the risk for thunderstorms, some possibly severe. But, just being underneath this upper level low is going to mean repeated chances of rain.
Exactly. So we'll be dealing with this here heading into the latter part of the week. Now, the one thing that we'll find with it hanging around, some showers, clouds around as well, the temperatures are going to be held down just a bit in these spots.
Yeah, it's not going to be that hot. Temperatures running below average, but it is going to be kind of humid out there because, of course, we've got that moisture in place. This is just so slow to move out, like every single upper level low we've dealt with.
They almost never go out on time. You think, okay, this thing's going to get out here by Thursday. No, it'll be here next Thursday. I mean, that's maybe not that long, but you get the point.
Yeah.
They hang around a little bit longer. And so you can see your forecast in a spot like Bangor, keeping it a bit below average and also showery through the remainder of the week.
Yeah, tough for vacation. If you're thinking of hiking or maybe taking the canoe out, definitely tough. Well, we're asking you in our question of the day.
On that one, I mean, 1940 was before everyone, right?
Yeah. The granddaddy of the pikes. Driving on the Pennsylvania Turnpike here can be tough when the weather gets bad here. There's a lot of times only 2 lanes going in one direction, and there's not a lot of side stuff. Places to pull off. So making sure that, you're driving a little slower when the rain gets going, storms reducing speed does make a difference.
Absolutely. No question about it. All right, good stuff. A little beef when it comes to who claims who claims.
So glad you shared this story, Alex.
Yeah.
I would have drove past it, not know really the whole history behind it.
I think all of us would have driven past it, right? Shout out to Charles because he found it and sent it to us and said, hey, maybe it's going to be worth a city pick. And absolutely, always good to learn a little history. Forecast, though, yeesh, it's going to be hot. I mean, 106 by the time we get to Wednesday, just beaming sunshine. Wow. Be ready for that.
Look at the overnight lows, too. That's telling.
Yeah, when it doesn't cool down at night, the
humidity is up. All right, back to our question